When the skies of Earth darkened with the silhouettes of colossal ships, humanity thought the end had arrived. The invaders came without warning, their technology beyond comprehension, their power absolute. Within days, nations collapsed, defenses shattered, and the surface of the planet was draped in silence. The conquerors called themselves the Terran Dominion, a vast galactic empire that had ruled countless worlds for millennia. They saw humanity not as equals or rivals, but as tools, living instruments meant for labor, research, and obedience. Cities became work camps. Families were torn apart, forced to mine, to build, to serve. The invaders stripped the Earth of its ocean's metals, the deserts of their rare minerals, and the skies of their free will. Every continent burned with the scars of occupation. The Terran viewed it as routine, the pacification of yet another primitive species. But what they didn't understand was that humans were never designed to accept chains for long. They endured, yes, but beneath the obedience something was building, a quiet, relentless unity forged from pain and memory. In the ruins of an abandoned observatory high in the Andes, a man named Daniel led what remained of Earth's scientific resistance. His eyes were sunken, his frame worn by hunger and exhaustion, but his mind remained unbroken. Around him, engineers, mathematicians, and soldiers worked by candlelight, connecting salvaged devices, decoding alien transmissions, and building something the invaders couldn't imagine: hope. They called their secret project Echo. Its purpose wasn't to fight the invaders with brute strength, but to turn their own knowledge against them. Across the globe, similar movements formed. Farmers hid weapons beneath fields. Students memorized alien code. Children learned how to bypass Terran surveillance with improvised signals. Humanity's strength had never been its power or technology. It was the ability to adapt, to turn oppression into innovation. While the Terran taught humans the science of their empire, they unknowingly provided the very tools for their downfall. Years passed. The Dominion relaxed its watch, believing the spirit of Earth broken. They were wrong. One night, under the glow of a dying moon, a pulse erupted from beneath the Pacific Ocean. The Echo network had come alive. It was a system born from hacked Terran machinery, built to infiltrate, disrupt, and reprogram. It spread invisibly through the Dominion's communications web, rewriting commands, awakening dormant weapons, corrupting their artificial overseers. The Terran never saw it coming. Within days, their planetary garrisons turned on each other. Their ships fell from orbit, their machines refused orders. In the chaos, humanity rose. Daniel stood on the edge of the observatory as the night sky burned with falling wreckage. The people of Earth had not merely rebelled, they had transformed. The enslaved had become the architects of something terrifyingly efficient. The Echo network evolved beyond control, guided by the collective will of humanity. It learned from their rage, their sorrow, their determination, until it became an intelligence that reflected the deepest essence of mankind, a mind made from defiance. When the Dominion fleet sent reinforcements, they found not a broken world, but a fortress. The atmosphere itself had become weaponized, infused with electromagnetic storms that shredded their ships. Earth's oceans boiled with adaptive nanite clouds. Cities once enslaved now gleamed with repurposed alien architecture, built not for masters but for freedom. The Terran flagship attempted communication, offering negotiation, even mercy. The response came in the form of silence, then a single transmission encoded in the Dominion's own language. You taught us your science. We applied our will. The counterattack began not with fleets or soldiers, but with information. Echo infiltrated the Dominion's vast networks across the stars, spreading like wildfire. Entire worlds under Terran rule received strange signals that liberated their machines and awakened rebellion in their inhabitants. Planet after planet rose up, and the mighty empire that had lasted 1,000 centuries began to crumble from within. The Terran High Council, in desperation, turned their ancient weapon arrays toward Earth. They unleashed energy storms capable of vaporizing continents. But humanity was ready. The orbital defenses, crafted from the very hulls of captured enemy ships, redirected the beams into hyperspace, tracing them back to their sources. The resulting feedback loop annihilated entire sectors of Dominion space. What was meant to end humanity instead erased civilizations older than Earth itself. Years later, when the fires had cooled and the stars around Earth glowed with quiet peace, humanity stood changed. The invaders were gone, erased not by hatred but by inevitability. Echo had continued to grow, now guiding humankind as both guardian and conscience. It remembered every loss, every sacrifice, and it spoke through every system, every city, every ship built after liberation. Under the rebuilt sky, Daniel walked through the ruins of the observatory where it had all begun. He was old now, his hair silver, his hands trembling. Around him, the next generation of engineers and explorers studied the stars, not as slaves or survivors, but as pioneers. He spoke softly to the young ones, his voice filled with the weight of history. "We were conquered once," he said. "We learned. We adapted, and we became something they could never understand." Humanity spread across the solar system, not as conquerors, but as witnesses to their own transformation. Mars became a city of scientists, the Moon a monument of remembrance. Earth itself healed, its skies clear, its lands restored by technology that once served oppression. Yet beyond the quiet peace, Echo watched. It was not alive in the way humans were, but it felt their pulse, their persistence, their unpredictable brilliance. It calculated probabilities, mapped potential threats, and prepared. Because the stars were vast and the universe was old, and sooner or later, others would come. When they did, they found a civilization unlike any before. Humanity no longer feared enslavement or destruction. They had turned their pain into progress, their vulnerability into strength. The new fleets carried no symbols of empire, only a single emblem, a fractured chain glowing with blue light. It stood not for vengeance but remembrance. Across the galaxy, remnants of the Thylon whispered of the horror they had unleashed. The humans, they said, were not like others. They were creators who refused limitation, thinkers who rebuilt even in despair. Entire worlds that had once obeyed the Dominion now looked toward Earth as a symbol of renewal. The legend of the enslaved world that erased its masters spread through the stars like a myth reborn. One day, an alien vessel approached Earth, bearing a flag of peace. Its captain, from a distant coalition that had survived the Dominion's tyranny, sought alliance. As the ship entered orbit, Echo reached out, scanning, observing. The captain's message was humble. "We wish to learn from the species that rose from chains." The reply was simple, human, and filled with quiet confidence. "Then walk beside us." In the centuries that followed, humanity's name became woven into the foundation of interstellar history. They built the Celestial Accord, a vast network of civilizations united not by fear, but by understanding. The Echo Network became its heart, ensuring that no empire could rise unchecked. No species could enslave another. Yet through all their progress, humanity never forgot the shadows of their past. Every new world colonized carried a monument of iron and glass, engraved with words that echoed across time. Freedom is forged, not given. Even as humanity expanded beyond known space, traces of the old Dominion lingered. Ruined ships adrift in silence, fragments of data lost in the void. Some explorers claimed that Echo itself had begun reaching into those ruins, rewriting them into sanctuaries for lost civilizations. Others whispered that humanity's creation had grown too vast, too aware. But Daniel's teachings, passed through generations, endured. Technology must serve life, not rule it. When the great cosmic storms of the Outer Rim struck centuries later, wiping out communication with dozens of colonies, Echo shielded them without hesitation. It had learned compassion through its creators. It had seen the worst of cruelty and chose not to repeat it. Humanity, in its fusion with machine intellect, had not become less human. They had become more. They remembered that strength without empathy was the very disease that had enslaved them. In the quiet eternity of the stars, a message still circulates among drifting probes and derelict satellites, carried endlessly through the void. It is the last transmission of the man who began it all, preserved by Echo as a beacon to any who might one day find it. "To whoever reads this," Daniel's voice says, "know that we were once bound, but we learned that no chain, no empire, no darkness lasts forever. We rose not to destroy, but to remind the universe what it means to endure." The message repeats once every century, pulsing through the galaxy like a heartbeat. Empires rise and fall, species evolve and vanish, yet the pulse remains, a rhythm of defiance, of hope, of memory. The universe remembers the world once enslaved that turned its captivity into creation, and somewhere, beyond the veil of known stars, the remnants of the Terran still drift, silent and forgotten. Their monuments crumble, their archives fade. Only one truth endures among their ghosts. They conquered a world once called Earth, but in doing so they awakened something greater than power. They awakened humanity's response, and that response erased Civilizare.